Support by fire. This was a request from one of the viewers and subscribers, and it's one that I appreciate. It's a discussion I don't think we're having often enough. Support by fire has an icon. I'll draw that up for you on the whiteboard when we get there in a minute. So it has its own icon, but it's not well understood. And I'm going to go really into some like metacognition here, okay? About why support by fire is so critically important and how the impact upon the enemy of support by fire allows us to maneuver to a better angle of attack, preferably 90 degrees or greater. So this is very, very important. You know what, right off the bat, let's just go right on over to the whiteboard. Let's talk about an obstacle. Some kind of cover is what we're looking for here. So I'm going to do that by saying, here's our cover. This will be a pretty tree. A good guy would hide behind that. A good guy would look something like, oh, I don't know, his head might be peeking around a little bit. You might see a little bit of shoulder. And he's hiding in there. And trees are surprisingly effective at stopping rifle bullets and machine gun bullets. And Paul Harrell has a video that I will recommend and try to link to, that he goes through different types of trees, softwood and hardwoods. It's actually a two-part video, and he demonstrates that very, very well, that it doesn't take as much tree as you think, assuming live, not rotted. The trees, just 5-6 inches in diameter, are actually surprisingly effective at stopping incoming fire from handguns and from rifles and whatnot. So a larger tree at, say, 12 inches or 18 inches or something like this, like a mature tree, stops small arms fire very, very effectively, and only after saturation do you get rounds to go through that. So the point is that this man here drawn is effectively using cover to protect the vital organs on his body while still peeking around and trying to get an angle of observation or an angle of attack on us. Now, if we were to move to a 90 degree and see a similar situation, we have tree, yay, tree. We have the trunk of the tree. And then this is rather obvious, but if we have that same man standing there, now we can actually engage him because he's no longer protected by the tree. So this is from 0 degrees, this is from 90 degrees. The point I'm trying to make, and again I admit this is obvious, so bear with me, is that cover only works from one general area, and that is from the front. Frontal fires, right? So bad guy fires, bang. They fire into the tree, it stops the tree, generally stops it. This is true as you go farther down on the tree for several good reasons, not the least of which, of course, is that the tree is wider at the base, at least most trees are, but also it gets denser and denser, like the wood is actually, because of weight and pressures and all this other stuff, it gets more dense. And so the trees stop that. So, in order to get this guy, I've got to travel all the way over here to a 90 degree angle to shoot him. Well, the problem is, what's he going to do if I go all the way up? That's right, he's just going to move there. And this is what warriors do when it's mano on mano. So what I have to do is fix him decisively in an engagement from this angle before I can then move to that angle. Well, I can't do this alone. I need a support by fire position. Let's take a look at that scenario, this time from what's called a God's eye view, right? We're looking down as if it was Google Earth. So the icon for our support by fire position is this. Those two arrows means support by fire. If it was just one arrow, just for clarity, pointing forward, that's attack by fire. Support by fire. Now, what's the difference between attack by fire and support by fire? Well, there's several different things, but not the least of which I would say the more nuanced difference is an attack by fire assumes I am going to continue moving that way. A support by fire assumes that I'm not going to continue moving forward. But both of them admittedly are at least momentarily halted to place fires forward. Okay, so let me draw back that tree. Okay, so here's our big bushy tree, right? And there's the trunk. And the bad guy, I'm going to draw him in red this time. The bad guy is standing behind that. So I'll draw his head and here's his shoulders. So that's my bad guy. And we're placing fires on him. Bang, 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 bang. Let's say for sake of argument that he is well protected. And I can't get him. He's kneeling, he's lying prone, whatever it is. At this point, I take a portion of my team. That can be one warrior. It can be. And in desperation, do that. But generally, I don't send one. I send them in, at least two together, right? Your battle buddy. It might be a whole 4-man fire team that comes over here. And they want to grab 90 degrees. What am I saying 90 degrees? Well, here's 90 degrees. That's a 90 degree. And you don't need to break out a square here. We're saying 90 degree or better. But here's what I'm really saying is 90 degrees from there. If this is 0, that's 90. We want to get 90 or better because once we do that, and then we attack by fire, so let's say they set up their position, they gain their firing solution, their firing angle, and they do an attack by fire, this man is no longer protected from them, and if he maneuvers to this side to be protected from them, you can clearly see that we, here in our support by fire, can get him. Now, you're saying, dude, this is so elementary. Yes and no. First off, it's amazing to me how many people don't understand this when you see them get in force on force. They think that they can get a 30-degree offset from their force and do something to this guy. They can't. You got to get to 90% or better. I agree it is terrain dependent. It is. So there's, environment that weighs in. But as a general rule of thumb, 90% or 90 degrees or better to get a firing angle on that enemy target. Furthermore, it gets more complicated because we said, well, that's a tree. What if it isn't a tree? Or what if this is a fighting position? Now, here's the thing about being in a defilade. That is, he's up to his armpit. He can sit down and bullets can go over the top of him. We're not going to fire through the ground because that person is in a fighting position. Subterranean. Okay? Bullets don't work there. I can't get them this way. And you say, yeah, but if you maneuver this way, you can't fire through the ground either. Correct. But what I can do now is suppress him and get him to lower his head, lower his vision, lower his weapon, so that now we can maneuver on him. That's one thing. Secondly, even if I'm here conducting attack by fire and support by fire, offset 90 degrees, and he's popping up and shooting, and let's say he's being somewhat successful coming out of that fighting position, that spider hole, that cave, whatever it is, and engaging both directions. Here's the thing, he can't engage both directions at one time. He comes up and he can shoot this way, or he comes up and he can shoot this way. He's got to make a decision. That's the other thing about getting a 90 degree that I think a lot of people don't see. It isn't just about cover and concealment. It's also about a limited resource, being a firearm, and making the enemy use that in one direction or the other. And of course, whichever direction they don't use it in is the team that closes the distance. So you can see this from several different ways. You can see, oh, hold on, I see the reason we go out to 90 degree or better. That's gaining the angle of attack from a support by fire, and then going into an attack by fire. Yes. But the other thing is that in doing this, regardless of whether they're hiding behind an obstacle such as a dumpster, or a building, or in a hole, fighting position, a cave, whatever the case is, we're making them come out and have to make decisions about which direction to shoot, which is resetting their OODA loop, that is their decision-making process, their awareness process, and we continue to change our angle of attack until we get a solid shot on them. On the big scale, on the really big scale, if we were looking at something like counterinsurgency or insurgency and warfare, and this is a outpost with a 40-man platoon on it, not coming out of there, you see the problems. Once we button them up, once they're no longer able to maneuver outside of their outpost, you can say that this dynamic can be expressed in a larger scale, like something on a platoon level. But even on a very small scale, fire team, we got two guys with here and two guys maneuver here. Even on something that minor, what's critical about this is both the maneuver element, but also the fire element. And this is what's not discussed enough, I'm afraid, that a support by fire enables the bound team to gain 90% or better of an angle of attack and then conduct attack by fire and or attack by fire and maneuver to sweep across the objective, right? So once they sweep across the objective, far side of the objective is secure. These people then come in and we tie together in a 180 facing out, prepared for an enemy counterattack. All right? Very, very simple stuff, but frankly, there's a lot of nuance in it that I think isn't, like I said, isn't well understood and or isn't discussed. So now we've discussed it. Thanks for joining us.